Okay, hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Danielle D'Onofrio Daily Podcast. Today, we're talking all about learning to trust yourself as an adult child. And I'm thinking in terms of all of the information that we have available at our fingertips, how everybody has an opportunity to reach us with their opinion and with the way they see the world. I was actually just at the library with my kids and I saw a whole shelf of parenting books. And I just looked at those parenting books and I thought to myself, never again am I going to read a parenting book and base the way I raise my children around some book that somebody decided to read. That somebody decided to write. I made the mistake early on of reading a book by a celebrity. I won't mention who it is. And at the time, a lot of people were reading the book, and I based so much of my early parenting decisions around what I was reading in this book. It was around detachment parenting and sort of that whole movement that was spreading around the time that I had my first son, which is about 12 years ago now. And it's so interesting because I just was listening to a podcast by that same celebrity who happens to be very smart. She has other credentials besides just being an actress and things like that. But I read her book 12 years ago, and then just this past month, I'm listening to one of her podcasts where she describes how difficult and how much of a challenge her first experience into parenthood was, and how much of she felt like just such a train wreck and she just couldn't get it together and she was so struggling. And I'm thinking like, okay, so that's when you wrote your first book and then you put that book out into the world and you were struggling, you didn't have it together, but you wrote a book and you were able to put your celebrity name on it because you're a celebrity. And then all these, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people read that book and then based their early parenting, including myself, on that book. But you're now claiming 12 years later that you didn't have it together. You didn't really know what you were doing. And my point is that no one really knows what they're doing. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with that actress other than like, we shouldn't put our, advice into the world unless like we've done it before and we've seen success and we've kind of figured some stuff out. Like if you're just now having a baby for the first time, I don't care if you're a psychologist or even if you're a pediatrician, do not write a parenting book because you don't know about parenting until you've been through it for a long period of time. And look, this isn't a podcast about parenting, but I was just at the library. I saw that book, that shelf full of parenting books, and it just got me thinking. And then I came up here to my office. I'm ready to record my podcast. And there was something unrelated to the podcast that I was thinking about that was making me feel a little bit frustrated and uneasy and unsure. And I happened to be scrolling Instagram and I came across a post of somebody talking about the thing that I was unsure about. And it got me thinking that we can find confirmation for whatever beliefs we choose to have. I mean, there is no shortage of people with opinions and information on every single topic, on every end of the spectrum, on any topic, right? On whether it's politics or health or parenting or healing and personal development. Like everyone has a different take. And for every take there's just millions of resources to back up that take, right? But then you can change your mind. You could take, a different path. And then there's a million resources backing up that path. So my point is you have to learn to trust yourself. And that is really what the healing and growth journey, is all about. It's learning to trust yourself, right? I feel like I say that phrase a lot. It's all about this. It's all about that, because these threads of sort of becoming as a person, right? Releasing codependency, learning to set boundaries, learning to trust yourself. These are the things that happen as we peel back the layers of woundedness and survival and we start to expose our authentic self. This is what happens is, one of them, we start to trust ourselves as adult children. We come up not trusting ourselves because we're conditioned to not trust ourselves. We look everywhere outside of ourselves to get confirmation, validation, approval, right? And we won't go a certain direction a lot of the time until we get those external, green lights. And healing is realizing that there's no one path for anybody, right? And there's definitely no one path for all people because we're all unique. And a lot of the time, it really just has to do with making a decision. It has to do with decisiveness, right? Because indecisiveness just leaves too many paths open, and that just leads to anxiety and stagnation. And sometimes you freeze when you don't know which way to go because there are just so many options, right? There are always going to be so many options, and really it's just a matter of saying, what do I need? What do I want? Where am I headed? What feels right to me? And then I'm going to make a decision to go that way. Right? And here's the thing is I want to talk a little bit about confirmation bias, which is really just what I was just explaining, but using a different term. You can gain confirmation bias, or you can gain confirmation rather, for any, decision you decide to make. You can get confirmation of any sort of conclusion that you come to. Then you can come to an opposite conclusion and get confirmation on that. So the point is there's nobody on most topics who can tell you that you are absolutely right. They will tell you that, right? If they're on your side and they're sort of along your line of thinking at that current moment, they will absolutely tell you that you're thinking the right way, or that that's the right way to go, and that the other ways are wrong, right? But they don't know, because there's just as many people telling you that their way is the right way. So really, all we have is our intuition. Right? That's what we have, is our intuition. Some people, refer to intuition as the voice of God, as God's guidance. I think about it both ways. I think that, intuition is a gift from God, that internal guidance that we have. And no matter what words you choose to, lay over it, it doesn't matter, because we know it's there, and we know which way to go. We know what's best for us if we will simply just listen, turn down the noise, outside of ourselves, and turn down the social media, shut Instagram for a second, turn down the podcasts, even put down the books for a little bit, and just get quiet with yourself and try to sense what it is you need and which direction you want to go. And it's okay to follow that direction. And really, life begins the moment you decide to start following your own intuition and making your own decisions and being your own independent person. And remember, I think it was in yesterday's daily podcast, I mentioned the fact that as adults, we are independent people with full agency over our lives. Now, there's going to be a lot of people around you, okay? Especially if you're still in toxic circumstances, if you're still in dysfunctional relationships, and that's just you're still swimming in that fog. There's going to be a lot of people around you who will be vocal and expressive when it comes to you choosing to go your own way, or you choosing to live your life the way you want to, because they want you to live your life the way they want you to, right? And that's part of the dysfunction. But part of the healing and growth journey is realizing that it's okay when people disagree with you. It's okay if people get upset. You are not responsible. As an adult, you are not responsible for managing the emotions of other grown adults, right? You are responsible for you. You're responsible for living your best life, for figuring out how to be your happiest, most peaceful self, and to pursue your unique life calling. Like, that's what you're responsible for. And every time you give your power to the people around you, or even to people you don't even know, who you're just afraid of their judgments or their opinions, right? Or even it's culture and society, like, oh, this isn't aligned with how culture does things, or like, for example, I'm a woman, and in my sort of cultural groups, I'm expected to not work, or just stay home with the kids, or there are certain gender roles and things like that. Just if it can feel difficult to step outside of those cultural roles that have been placed on us. And even that is important. I'm sure people will disagree with me, but it's so important, no matter whether you're a man or a woman. It's so important that you be true to who you are, and live your life the way you want to. And of course, we always have to be respectful to others, right? We do no harm. The best life is a life that we live in service of others, to make the world a better place, right? So all of those sort of intrinsic values and rules of a good life apply, but we can, within those within that, the goodness of life, right, we can pursue, our own calling and be who we are and make our own decisions. And when you can do that without being controlled by the thoughts, opinions, beliefs, moods, the difficulties around you, while still maintaining your real responsibilities, right? That's really when life begins. And you'll notice we've talked a lot about codependency in the last couple of videos. Once you are able to dissolve that codependency, which again, we do a lot through boundaries and the practice of setting boundaries, this all starts to coincide, right? All of these amazing benefits of the journey start to coincide. We start to release codependency, we release victim mindset, we start to realize our independence and our full agency as adults. We start to release things like perfectionism, which we talked about yesterday, and we're able to live a life that we want to. We're able to go after the things that we want to go after because those sort of false beliefs and defense mechanisms are no longer holding us back, keeping us in place, like keeping us in our comfort zone, right? So, remember that you can trust yourself. And sometimes you have to learn to trust yourself, and that's part of the journey. It's part of getting comfortable being quiet with yourself and hearing and feeling what it is that you uniquely need. And we do that through journaling, through meditation, through resting when we need it, and talking to trusted people. Whether it's your close friends that you can trust, or therapists, or life coaches, or some sort of mentor. There are ways to learn how to align within ourselves with our authenticity, figure out what we want and need, and then go for it. And then, yeah, it is helpful to research and find other like-minded people, but I think that it can become too comfortable surrounding ourselves only with like-minded people. I think that always taking a minute, to remember that there's always the other side of the coin. There's always the flip side of the coin, right? Where there are people with opposite beliefs that are very, very, convicted and, feel that their way is the right way. And just to maintain an open mind is the best way. Because like I said, you're always going to be able to get confirmation for the direction that you want to go. So it's really not about the confirmation. It's about, is your instinct, is your intuition telling you that that's the right way? And then use all of the research and all of the stuff that's backing you up as sort of fuel to power your journey. But first you have to look within. No, don't look outside of you all the time to decide which way to go. Because again, you're going to find for every person who agrees with your direction, you're going to find 10 who don't, right? So there's really no way to get to your truth without looking within. So my wish for you, and I'm sure that this is something that you've thought about too, is just to learn how to trust yourself. And part of it is a practice. It's just recognizing when we are becoming influenced by someone. And every time you open Instagram or every time you turn on a podcast, you're putting yourself in a position. We are putting ourselves in positions to be influenced. I notice it in myself all the time. Like none of us are immune to this. And some of us are maybe better at it than others. I don't know. Maybe it's just the people who spend less time like reading and listening to things. I read and listen to things so much that I've really had to practice getting good at recognizing when I'm being influenced away from my own instincts. So, the more we can quiet the noise and tune in, the better. Okay, so just a little reminder to focus on what you feel is right. Practice writing, meditating, thinking about what it is you want and need and what you feel is right. And noticing when someone shows up with an opinion, or you read a book, or you see a social media post, or you listen to a podcast, noticing that, this person is like supposed to be a credible resource. They're supposed to be an expert on this topic, but something just doesn't feel right. Like, I don't think that I agree with this. Notice those hunches when they show up, because those are so valuable. Trust those hunches and then explore them more, but don't dismiss them just because the person delivering the information is supposed to be an expert or has some, other kind of credibility, like, this celebrity author that I read 12 years ago. Trust yourself. So that's the message I'm going to leave you with today. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get alerted when I release these videos every day. And if this video was helpful, I'd love for you to hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and I will catch you in the next video. Oh, and just so you know, my book is becoming more and more available over on Substack. I decided to use Substack to put my book out into the world because it's the fastest way for me to make it accessible for you guys. So small monthly fee, you can start to access all the chapters. I'm getting them up there as quickly as I can. As of this recording, there is the introduction and the first 2 chapters, but I'm posting a chapter almost every single day. So depending on when you see this, more and more is going to be available. And yeah, if you read the whole thing in a month, you just have one tiny monthly fee. And hopefully that, like I said, makes it very easy and economical for people to be able to access and benefit from. And that is my methodology, the Restorative Lifestyle Method, which is a powerful 4-step system essentially for adult children who are looking to, resolve the trauma and dysfunction from their childhood and transform all that pain into purpose and start to create a life that you really love. So I have done it, and I am passing on sort of the system that has crystallized along my journey so that you can do it too. And hopefully it makes it a lot easier and more efficient for you, because we want to get to it, right? We want to get to living the fullest, most vibrant life that we can. And sometimes when you go into the journey often when you go into the journey, the whole thing is like a mystery. We're like, we want to heal, we want to improve our lives, but this all feels so mysterious. Like I have no idea what to do. And so we just sort of gravitate towards the thing that feels like the right first thing, which is awesome because that's us, following our instinct. My instinct initially brought me towards yoga and meditation and things like healing crystals and different alternative modalities like that. And I talk a lot about it in the book, but the book is, it's a 4-step system, but it allows plenty of customization for you to carve your own path with just using these principles and practices and personal stories as guidance to sort of help you along the way. So that is available on Substack. There is a link right down in the description below if you want to go check that out. And I think that's all I have for you today. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you tomorrow. Take care.